Have you ever seen a baby reach out for something everyone else was too afraid to touch? What if that something was a German Shepherd hanging off the edge of a 30-story rooftop? Claws slipping, heart pounding, eyes locked in silent panic, and the only soul who moved toward him. Was a child too young to know fear? Too pure to hesitate? Too small to understand the danger? But just big enough to make a miracle happen? It started on a morning just like any other in downtown Chicago, where the city stretches skyward with glass and steel, traffic honks echo through the canyon-like streets. And life moves too fast for anyone to notice the quiet stories unfolding in the background, especially those that don't shout for attention. On the 30th floor of a residential skyscraper near Millennium Park, in a luxury apartment framed with panoramic views of the skyline and soft morning sunlight spilling through oversized windows, a young couple, Kyle and Jessica, were busy with the rituals of new parenthood. Their son, baby Noah, had just turned one, a chubby-cheeked, blue-eyed bundle of joy who loved crawling more than walking. He laughed at the sound of his own hiccups and had an uncanny connection with the family. Dog Max, a 5-year-old German Shepherd with eyes full of wisdom and loyalty that ran deeper than words. Max wasn't just any dog. He had once belonged to Kyle's late father, a retired firefighter who had adopted the pup during recovery from back surgery. And when he passed away suddenly from a heart attack, Max came to live with Kyle and Jessica, becoming not just a pet but a living memory of love, protection, and unspoken understanding. Though Max had no training in childcare, he had become Noah's shadow, always nearby, always watching, always listening. He followed the babies, crawling trail like a quiet guardian, slept near his crib every night, and somehow always seemed to know when Noah needed comfort before he cried. They were two souls in different bodies, one just beginning life, and one seasoned by silent grief and second chances. And though the world outside their window rushed on in a blur of meetings, alarms, deadlines, and digital noise, inside that apartment was a rare calm, a kind of emotional stillness that comes only from deep love wrapped in routine. That morning, Jessica had to leave early for a dental appointment, and Kyle, working from home, was managing emails from the kitchen while Noah played on the living room carpet, his baby monitor blinking gently beside Kyle's coffee mug. Max lay on the cool tile near the balcony door, one ear perked lazily, his eyes tracking Noah every few seconds, nose twitching. Every time the baby giggled or dropped a plastic block. The balcony, a narrow strip of concrete bordered by a thick metal railing, was usually locked. But that day, in the shuffle of packing the diaper bag, grabbing keys, and answering the doorbell for a parcel delivery, Jessica had forgotten to turn the child-proof latch back on. Noah, ever curious, had learned how to push aside the lightweight mesh baby gate. Crawling faster than any adult expected, he'd followed Max to the balcony, one pudgy hand dragging his stuffed monkey, the other pushing open the glass door that should have resisted him but didn't. And Max, hearing the door slide, stood, looked back at Kyle in the kitchen, too far, too distracted, too focused on a client call, then turned to follow Noah as the baby wobbled to his feet and took a few clumsy steps toward the sunlight. Eyes, that's when it happened. A pigeon, startled from a nearby ledge, flapped directly toward the balcony, its wings brushing Max's face. Startled. Max jumped slightly, just enough that his back paws lost grip on the slippery edge of the outdoor tile near the railing's corner. The dog didn't fall all at once. It was a horrifying, slow-motion slide, claws scratching, back legs slipping over the ledge, front paws gripping desperately onto the concrete lip, his full body dangling over the edge of a 30-story drop. His breath heavy, his brown eyes wide, locked onto Noah's tiny figure standing just a foot away, reaching toward him. Noah didn't scream. He didn't run. He didn't call for Kyle. He simply reached one chubby arm outstretched toward Max, fingers wobbling in the breeze, his little lips murmuring something soft, like "Mama Ma," as if calling Max's name in baby talk. The moment was still painting a snapshot of instinct over logic, purity over panic. When the city roared in the background, but on that rooftop, all was silent except for the soft sound of wind and the faint scratch of Max's claws fighting gravity. And just then, just when everything should have gone wrong, when no one would have blamed nature or the odds if tragedy had struck? The baby's hand landed on the side of Max's collar. Somehow, without any adult strength or knowledge of rescue, he leaned forward and held on. He didn't pull, couldn't possibly lift, but something in the contact gave Max just enough reassurance to try again. The dog jerked one paw higher than the other, his body trembling, legs kicking, scraping against the outer wall. Inside, Kyle was still talking on the phone, unaware. A neighbor a few floors below looked up, spotted a dark shape hanging from a balcony, and screamed. But Noah, silent and focused, leaned in. 2 hands now gripping Max's fur, face inches away. Eyes full of something beyond words, a connection built in bedtime lullabies, shared snacks, and silent watching. Shit. Finding strength in that touch, let out one loud bark. Just one. A bark that broke the silence like a crack in the sky. It startled Kyle so deeply he dropped his phone and ran toward the balcony, heart slamming in his chest. When he got there, the scene stopped him cold. His son crouched at the balcony's edge, arms around Max's neck, and Max panting hard, claws still dragging against concrete, about to fall. What happened next will stay with Kyle for the rest of his life, but I'll tell you about that in part 2. For now, take a breath. Ask yourself this: what would your dog do for your child? What would your child do for your dog? If you're still here, let me know in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it over there? I want to see how far this story travels, because what happens next deserves to be remembered forever.